This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Robert McFarlane follows his guide Lena around a corner, coming to a seeming dead end. He thinks to himself that she must have finally taken a wrong turn. But she turns to McFarlane and says, "You'll need to pull your pack along with your toes here, and from now on, don't shout or touch the ceiling." The entrance to the passage is so tight that he has to turn his head to the side just to fit. Suddenly, he can feel the stone around him begin to vibrate and shake. The ceiling above him, known to be fragile, shudders under the weight of the Parisian commuter trains and threatens to collapse on him, encasing him in a coffin of limestone. After an eternity, the tunnel widens, and McFarlane finds himself in what the locals call a cabinet of curiosities, where a group of partiers wait for them. He is handed a plastic cup of vodka, and they dance the night away to the echoing vocals of David Bowie's Underground. This is the Paris Catacombs, a realm of freedom, a kingdom of liberty, and an empire of death.
Oh, it's also a pretty fun tourist trap. You can go on a guided hike for like $20.
Sure, but that's not spooky.
Oh, you want spooky? Try this footage. We only found out that anyone was actually down there by finding his video camera, but that was over 30 years ago. To this day, no one has found any sign of him.
Today's episode concerns spaces that are dangerous, and most often illegal to access. We ask you not to go to any of the places mentioned in this story, unless accompanied by professional guides at official entrances. Also, apologies to the French. Your language is beautiful, and I'm not going to make it sound like that. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. So, tell me about this video, my erudite assistant.
It all started with the TV show Scariest Places on Earth that was aired in the early 2000s. During their episode on the Paris Catacombs, filmmaker Francis Friedland claims that someone gave him this footage.
Not very specific, is he?
He then goes on to say that he brought the footage to a cataphile, someone who illegally explores and maps the catacombs beneath the city, who said that the person in the footage clearly did not know their way through the tunnels. Friedland's intention was to try to solve the mystery. Friedland then descends into the catacombs through one of the illegal cataphile entrances with a couple of other cataphiles to guide him. One of them, known only as Lizard, says that their chances of finding the lost man are probably very slim. Despite this, they succeeded in finding one of the landmarks from the found footage, suggesting they were somewhere near where the man vanished.
Seems very convenient that they just happened to come across spots from a decade-old film camera.
Indeed. Was it a hoax? Or was there actually something worth running from down in the dark?
Nice transition.
Why, thank you.
Bo,
Don't do that.
I am the ghost of your internet privacy. How are you protecting yourself from invasive ISPs haunting your every move?
The power of Nord compels you.
Not NordVPN, the award-winning virtual private network with servers all around the world.
The very same. And it protects my location across my devices, unlocking my shows. Plus, double data encryption gives me increased anonymity, all under a 30-day money-back guarantee.
That must be prohibitively expensive.
Nope. NordVPN is giving a huge 73% discount for a 2-year subscription with an extra 4 months as a gift. That's only $3.18 per month, less than a cup of coffee. Get the discount now at nordvpn.com/brew or use code BREW.
No! What was that?
Ah! We never speak of this again.
Agreed.
Oh no, we gotta talk about this. Do not go back to your spooky catacomb.
This reminds me of Philibert Espert. Working as a doorkeeper at a military hospital in revolutionary France, he vanished without a trace in 1793. For 11 years, the case was considered cold with no leads as to where he could have gone, until someone stumbled on his long since decomposed corpse in a tunnel north of Paris. Identified only by the buttons on his jacket and an intact keyring he was known to carry, historians are not sure why Espert went down into the catacombs in the first place. But it's been suggested his goal might have been to break into the basement of a nearby brewery. The only thing we know for sure is that he must have lost his light and found himself unable to navigate his way out. Tragically, his body was found only a few feet from a staircase that would have led him out of the darkness that eventually consumed him.
But Brew, why were the catacombs built in the first place? You know, aside from giving adventurers a place to fight skeletons and level up and stuff.
Well, the short answer is that they were running out of space in city cemeteries and needed to find long-term storage solutions. Between 1365 and 1700, the population of Paris grew by over 325,000 people. Paris was one of the largest cities in Europe and the world at the time, and space was a hard-won resource. Additionally, this city also needed building materials. Lucky for the Parisians, they lived on top of a gigantic limestone deposit. Quarries were erected throughout the city, dredging up limestone to fuel construction. One of the major drawbacks of this system was that some of the quarries would collapse in on themselves. In 1774, a collapse brought down an entire street of houses, Rue d'Enfer, sorry French folk, or in English, the Street of Hell. And yes, it was called that before the collapse. Imagine you're a French peasant minding your own business when the Street of Hell literally falls into what you can only assume is actually hell. So began the restructuring of the Paris quarries. Louis XVI appointed Charles Axel Guillemot with the task of mapping out the empty spaces below the city, consolidating the larger spaces and regulating further digs. Guillemot organized a city planning system labeling subterranean spaces in relation to the streets they laid beneath, slicing the city into an upper city and a lower city. Then, in the mid-1780s, Guillemot realized that the buried quarries could be used for storage, and this is when it clicked. As Paris grew, the majority of its dead were concentrated primarily in the Cemetery of Saints Innocents. But over time, this one cemetery alone became the resting place for millions of bodies. So now we come to 1786, as a reverent and morose caravan of priests, gravediggers, torchbearers, and horse-drawn wagons transport over 6 million exhumed bodies from their final resting places to their final resting places beneath the hustle and bustle of city above them.
How big are the Paris catacombs?
About 300 kilometers. Or 186 miles.
That's about the distance between Berlin and Hamburg. It would take you about 3 hours of driving.
Just imagine how long it'd take to dig out all that. Today, the Paris catacombs are a bastion for urban explorers, partiers, and those who reject the structures of modern living. They've formed a communal society in the dark corners of the underworld, where honor is currency and resources are shared. There is no selling or buying, only bartering and gifts. And you take out what you bring in. You must create with care and do not destroy. Sometimes, that honor code means sharing your booze with whoever happens to crawl out of a hole in the wall, or keeping your voice down when the movie starts.
They have a movie theater down there? Oh, I hope they play All Dogs Go to Heaven.
There's a whole world of people down there. The French government has even created a specialized police force called Catacombs to guard the catacombs. They discovered the movie theater in 2004, but what's even more wild is that it was attached to a real working restaurant and bar.
Oh, I want to go! Grill, I know where we can take our next vacay.
I do have some bad news for you, buddy. Before stumbling upon the theater, the Catacombs had to travel through a single tunnel which contained a CCTV camera set to record images of anyone triggering a motion sensor which would set off a recording of dogs barking to scare off any unwanted guests. The movies that the Catacombs found weren't banned or offensive in any way. They expected a secret theater like that to be playing secret films. But no, the French police have said that they included old film noir classics and more recent thrillers. The Catacombs then found a small black container in a fully stocked bar. They didn't know who had built the theater, and considering the complexity of the CCTV setup, it was possible that this was a space used by radicals. So they immediately left and called the bomb squad. When specialists arrived, they disposed of the object, but discovered that it wasn't what they thought it was. It was just a pressure cooker full of couscous.
I love couscous. Bombs are scary though. Woo!
The mystery goes deeper though. When the Catacombs returned to the theater after disposing of the couscous, they found that everything, and I mean everything, was gone. The projector, the booze, the PA system, and the CCTV system vanished. Only the wiring used to siphon power, recently cut telephone lines, and a single note saying, "Ne cherchez pas," or "Don't search," was left in the gutted cinema.
Who built it in the first place? Who took everything away? And how did they even know when to go there and grab everything?
In the years since, a group calling themselves the Urban Experiment has claimed responsibility for the theater in addition to other repairs and restorations across the catacombs. Who they are, we don't know, but they're probably down there as we speak. There are more things on heaven and earth than there are dreamt of in your philosophy. Shakespeare said over 400 years ago, there is a force dwelling inside the catacombs of Paris. It's the kind of presence that peers out through cracks in the stone and occupies the thin line between light and dark. Call it a spirit, a ghost, or what have you. Something lives inside that aeons-old rock. Not that I think this spirit is anything supernatural, it's just a bunch of twisting tunnels beneath the earth. But whenever humans enter spaces, we give them significance and power, making it real to those who believe it. And I think any cataphile would agree that if you enter the catacombs without the proper reverence, it will punish you.
Because if you don't respect the underground, you can be sure you'll never catacomb back out.